We're doing this thing again and making a video. And today I think it's gonna be about jobs. Why? I don't know. I like when people talk about some of their past jobs and how it builds on everything and gets them to where they are today. Also, career is something I'm focusing a lot and trying to figure out in my life. So I like looking back on how I got from where I was at to where I am today. This is gonna have to be kind of brief because I have had a lot of jobs. So let's start flying through them. Got my first job when I was 16 working at Toys R Us. I worked there for a total of 2 weeks before I realized it was absolutely terrible and I hated it. From there, I worked at Panera, which I had actually gotten at the same time I got the Toys R Us job. Got that job, but for some reason when I quit Toys R Us, I felt like I needed a second job. It was summer and there was a ton of pressure on me. I was a junior in high school, so there was a ton of pressure on me to save for college and also save and buy a car. So 2 jobs, worked at Panera, and then I also worked in a movie theater. Did that for about 1.5 years, and then I dropped Panera because it was insane to have 2 jobs and go to high school full time. You never had time for anything. So stopped working at Panera. They paid better. I think I was making like $6.50 at Panera, and at the movie theater I was making $5.85, but Panera was really strict on their hours. And the movie theater, you were considered a seasonal employee, so you could work 60, 70 hours a week if you wanted to. Sometimes over school breaks, I would work a week of doubles where I would do 12-hour days in a row and try and get as much money as I possibly could. So did that. Both were good. The movie theater is really where I spent the majority of my time. And I kind of consider that my real first job, because it was like a second home for a long time, and it was great. I could get as many hours as I wanted. It was a really easy job, to be honest with you, and you got to see as many free movies as you wanted. So I had tons of friends there. Met my husband there, actually, though that didn't happen until a bit later. That didn't happen when I first started working there. I worked at the movie theater all from when I was 16 through the rest of high school, and then all throughout college as well. I went to college out of town, but I would come back and I would work random weekend shifts, or I would work over Christmas break or like Labor Day and make money. And then of course during the summer. Went to college far away, and the first year I didn't have a ton of jobs. I had a free internship. I had 2 free internships actually, but I didn't make any money the first year working there. I thought a lot about getting a job somewhere around college, and I probably should have, but I was taking a bunch of classes, so I didn't. Anyway, year 2, still working at the movie theater, worked all summer, and then I got a job interning at a radio station, and it paid, I think, $300 a month, which at the time I thought was amazing. It didn't end up being actual like very much money considered how many hours I put into it. And then I also worked for a financial advisor, and they paid, oh, what did they, I think they paid $10 an hour, which at the time I thought was like amazing money. So I worked there. I remember on Tuesdays and Thursdays, class was over at 12, so I'd go and work from 12 to 6 and do marketing stuff for them. College finished that year, and I came home and I got a corporate job. I applied to every single job I possibly could, which this is not the way to do it, by the way. Maybe that'll be its own separate video, but I was desperate because I needed money to afford to move out of my parents' house. My car was kind of run down. I needed a bunch of stuff. So I applied, I think starting in March through May, I applied to like everything I could, and I got a job really close to when I graduated. It was this corporate job working as a social media manager, and I really liked what I did as the job, which was like managing their Facebook account and making YouTube videos for them. Loved that. Hated the place I did it for. It was downtown, so my commute was really long. The bosses were all just very different from me. It was a very old company full of a lot of men, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it was really difficult being this 20-year-old who was in this environment where everyone else that works there is in their 50s. And it was just very stressful, and there was like no time off, and I did a lot of work from home. That was kind of the expectation, was you're gonna come and work for us 9 hours a day, and then also you better get stuff done at home as well. So didn't like that job. I worked there for a year though, and then I decided to quit, and I had a new job lined up where I was gonna work from home as a social media manager. So left that job, I got married in this time frame, started the new job, and the new job didn't have enough funding to pay me. They were a startup situation, so had to find another new job, and I started working at a magazine from home doing marketing for them, which was actually really, really awesome because I got to work from home. I didn't pay super great, but primarily I made their marketing emails, so the emails that say stuff like, hey, subscribe to our magazine, or hey, your renewal is coming up. And they had a ton of different magazines that were under their parent company. So I made all of those emails, and that was really good. But again, working all the time. I worked from home, and I would like log on usually at 5 in the morning, and then I would work until 9 o'clock at night, and they would bother me on Saturdays and Sundays, which at first wasn't a big deal, but I kind of just felt like I wasn't making progress in the company, and I was working all the time. So worked there for a year, and then they ran out of money, or they didn't run out of money, but they were sold, and they had this period of 2 months where they couldn't pay me because something weird with the new company was supposed to pay me, but the old company still kind of owned it. It was very, very confusing. So I left them. It got to the point where I couldn't work there if they couldn't pay me. So from there, I took my longest job, and I worked as, it started out as like a marketing assistant, and then I moved up to do a marketing director at a small company, like a small local business that was smaller. They still did like a bunch of transactions and money and stuff, but very small marketing department. They hadn't really done marketing before I came, and that was awesome. I was there for 3 years, and it was a great, great job because I could completely grow the position into what I wanted it to be. So whatever I wanted to do marketing wise was what we did, and it was awesome. I could bring my dog to work. The hours were really, really good for a long time. I could pick when I wanted to work, and I could work from home sometimes, and for about 6 months I did where I worked 4 days a week instead of 5 days a week, and that was awesome, loved it. But the last year I was there, year 3, I started to get really unhappy. There were some changes in the company that I didn't quite agree with, like morally, some things about the way other employees were being treated, and specifically what I was advertising as how we did things, and then what was actually happening. I didn't feel like an authentic marketer. I started to feel like we were lying to people a little bit, and I didn't like that, and I kind of butted heads with my boss about that a little bit. Also, the business grew a lot in the 3 years I was there. So it was a very, very small business when I started, and then it grew to like multi-million-dollar business by the time I left, and I was still the only marketing person, which doesn't sound that bad, but I personally had to talk and interact with every new customer this business had. And it got to the point where there were multiple occasions where I spent the night at work and slept in my office. And it got to the point where I was always on the phone talking to people at work or talking to customers, even when I was home. So I just started to really, I realized that I was not going down a path that was sustainable or what I wanted. And I also had maxed out at that company. Basically, I had a conversation with my boss, and they let me know, hey, there's no more money. We love you, but you're probably never gonna get another raise. And that's weird to hear when you are 24. Even if you like the job and you really like the company, knowing that you are stuck isn't great. So left that job, and I went and I tried marketing again for a large corporation, like a huge corporation nationwide. And that was a really, really good job. They had really good benefits, and the hours were pretty good, where it was consistent and no one bothered me at home. But it was a large corporation, which I knew I didn't like. I already knew that. So I worked there for 9 months while getting my teaching certificates, and now I am a middle school English teacher, which is like a huge, massive, totally different thing to do with my life, because it's been marketing, advertising, marketing, social media, all that type of stuff for years and years and years. And now I'm a teacher because there was a huge part of myself that wasn't fulfilled by, I loved the marketing and the internet stuff. I didn't always like the reason I was doing it. Like, I wasn't teaching anyone. I wasn't really interacting with people. I didn't feel like I was doing a lot of good in the world. So I had done marketing for so long that it just made sense to me to try something totally different. So that is what I did. That is what I have been doing for the past 7 months. And I have some things to say about it and some plans for the future, but I don't think that's this video because I'm still currently teaching and it's not really something I want to talk about yet, but it probably is something I'll talk about in the future. Basically, I've been so focused on my day job for so long that all of that creative stuff has kind of gone to the wayside. And that's what I want to focus on, is the creative stuff, not killing it at my day job. Because every day job I've had, I've been pretty successful and risen up easily, and I've been in a position where I work all the time because they like what I do, and I'm kind of a workaholic. But when I look at what I want long term in the scheme of my life, it's not that. It's not working all the time. So that's what I'm currently trying to figure out. And that's the history of my so many jobs. There are a lot of jobs I've had. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.